Hello, friends, and welcome to Learning Across Kansas. I'm your middle school host, Mrs. Smoke, and I'm excited to take this learning journey with you across the Sunflower State. Learning Across Kansas is a partnership between the Kansas State Department of Education and the Kansas Public Broadcasters. Together, we want to ensure that your education continues as we deal with social distancing and health issues facing our society. Most of all, we want to have fun with you. Opportunities to learn are all around us, friends, if we just use a little imagination and creativity as our guides. Most of all, we want to see what inspires you. So let's get started. In today's show, we're going to take a collective journey ad astra, also known as Through the Stars. We'll explore our solar system with Mrs. Hillman in Olathe, talk science fiction with Mr. Wolf and Derby, and investigate how surface area plays an important role in designing an aircraft that takes us from land to the skies with Mrs. Bowden in Andover. Later in the show, we'll visit with Counselor Maret Schrader from Maret in Kansas to share mindfulness strategies that help us stay healthy and focused. And we'll jump into our kitchens and craft supplies with Mrs. Farha from Wichita Public Schools. But first, let's begin continuous learning outside with our science teacher, Mrs. Amy Hillman from Olathe. You know, the really cool thing about scientists is how they gather all of their wonders and observations in a journal or notebook, like mine. You'll notice today throughout our show that journals will play an important role, and later on we'll even show you how to create one with objects you can find around your house. Okay, Mrs. Hillman, let's go exploring ad astra, through the stars. And psst, don't forget your notebook.
Welcome, Kansas scholars. My name is Amy Hillman, and I'm from right here in Kansas. Today, our topic, ad astra, to the stars. Now, the star that we're going to talk about today, our very own sun. This sun is at the center of our solar system. Solar, sol, Latin for sun. Its origin. Our sun is the reason that everything grows here on Earth. Our sun, as massive as it is, has two basic chemicals that when they combine create nuclear fusion, helium and hydrogen. Now our sun, more than 150 million kilometers away, so very far, but so very massive. Over 1 million Earths together combined would make up just the mere size / mass of our very own sun. Facts about our very own sun. February of 2012, we found out through NASA's help that there are tornadoes on our very own sun. That's right, on the surface area of the sun, 5,000 degrees, oh my gosh, Celsius, hot. Well, what gets kicking? Tornadoes based on magnetic forces. Here in Kansas, we have tornadoes. Our tornadoes might get 300 miles per hour. These tornadoes on our sun, over 180,000 miles per hour. Woo! This is a diagram of our sun. You can place this into your own journal. The sun has several different layers and parts. The ones that I would like to talk about today, the core at the center, so much hotter than the surface. On the surface, you have sunspots, which are actually a decrease in temperature. You have its corona, the crown of the sun. And of course, flares, too much energy, that nuclear fusion. Ladies and gentlemen, our sun is spectacular. Ad astra, to the stars. Let's go to our stars. Ad astra, to the stars. Now we've spoken about our very own sun at the center of our solar system. And now let's take it to the Kansas skies. Right now we're heading towards summertime. So I think it's time we meet a few of our own constellations that we can witness here with some of the most beautiful skyscapes on Earth, Kansas skies. But I feel as though I don't have the right uniform on. Now this is more like it. Tonight, I want to share with you some of the constellations that we have witnessed all the way through winter and a little bit of spring. But I want to introduce to you a constellation that is special to us. But before we do that, we need to break it down. The different colors of our stars based on how hot they are. Let's take a look at what we have. And here, the life cycle of a star. I've drawn this out in my journal like I encourage you. Write down everything that you notice and wonder about science. The life cycle of a star starts in a nebula with helium, hydrogen, and dust, and a star is born. When it is born the hottest it will ever be, a blue star. As it cools, it travels through a sequence of colors, going from white to yellow, as our sun is, orange as it cools, and red, a super expanding red giant, to supernovas and black holes to its death. Welcome to 3 constellations. Now remember, a constellation is a design, an imaginary picture up in the sky. Now this is a constellation of Orion. He has his belt. That makes him easy to find, especially in winter months. Different key stars that we want to recognize and remember. Betelgeuse or Betelgeuse is a red supergiant star, and Rigel, a hot blue star. Now, Orion has a relationship with Taurus the bull and also Canis Major, the big dog. Kansas scholars, as it becomes darker, I want you to find a spot outside where you can gaze at our beautiful stars. Ad Astra, to the stars. Don't forget to journal all that you notice and wonder. Mrs. Hillman always says, science is everywhere. Until next time.
That's fantastic, Mrs. Hillman. I've been writing all kinds of wonders in my journal, including a reminder to go look at the stars tonight. You know, I've actually been thinking a lot lately about how Kansas plays a significant role in the aircraft industry. We have engineers, designers, navigation experts, and more all working hard to improve our Ad Astra explorations. That's a great deal of STEM goodness because it's the math and science that lifts us from the earth to the skies. Next up is Mrs. Bowden from Andover Schools, who will share with us some of the math that takes us to the stars.
Hey everybody, Mrs. Bowden here from Wichita, Kansas, the air capital of the world. We are going to go from Earth to air today. In order for us to get there though, we have to take a look at our aircrafts that will get us off the ground. Although there are advanced calculations that go into this concept, it comes down to a few very important factors to go from land to air. Lift, drag, and surface area. Surface area is a mathematical term which refers to the amount of space covering the outside of a 3D shape. This could be frosting a cookie or painting the walls of a room. For our case today, we recognize the fact that the surface area of a wing or a fin has a direct effect on the drag of an aircraft. Drag is generated by every part of the airplane, especially the wings. This is similar to swimmers wearing swim caps to lessen the drag created by water, and cyclists also think about the position of themselves while on a bike. They lower themselves closer to the bike to create an aerodynamic formation to increase their speed. Here I have a variety of different wings and rocket fins from the side view. Observe all the different shapes. Aerospace engineers carefully select and calculate the area of the shapes to be able to determine the lift and the drag. The drag created on the wings is directly proportional to the surface area of the aircraft. If the surface area doubles, so does the drag. Let's take a look at the specific shapes and the area of them. Here we have a rectangle. Next we have a triangle. And here we have a trapezoid. Notice the unique shape of the space shuttle fin. We call this a composite figure. It's a shape made up of other shapes. What shapes do you see in this fin? Breaking it up into smaller shapes can help us calculate the area of the entire fin. I'm going to challenge you today to design and create your own aircraft. See what recycled goods you have at home to create with. Play around with the different shapes of fins and wings and see what it does when you take your aircraft to flight. Buckle up and get ready for takeoff.
That's awesome, Mrs. Bowden. I can't wait to see what our learners design with their own found objects. I'm already sketching down my ideas. You know, those found objects can also be used to create a journal at your house. Mrs. Jenny Farha from Wichita Public Schools has some awesome ideas for creating a journal from home. Show them what you've created, Mrs. Farha.
Hi there, my name is Mrs. Farha, and I'm going to be showing you how to make journals just from things that you have around your home. And first of all, it does not have to be fancy. This one is made just out of paper that I folded in half and stapled, but you could glue or tape it, and you can add lines to it if you want. It doesn't have to be fancy. Your thoughts are what are important. Maybe you want to bind it and make it a little sturdier. I cut off the back of a cereal box and I used some old worksheets that had blank sides on them. I cut some slits in the top, wove a ribbon through it, and now it's all bound together. This one I made out of a brown paper bag. I cut a bunch of pieces about all the same size and I used a nail to make holes. Then I thread the string through it and it was all bound together. I really like the brown paper to write on with a pen. This is made using the same method and some thicker cardboard and some notebook paper. But what's cool about this one is I bound it using t-shirt yarn that I made from an old t-shirt. You can do tons of stuff with this yarn and you can look up a tutorial for it online. Maybe you have notebooks already that you've only used half of the pages and you just want to rip those pages out and get a new cover. I painted the front of this using a couple of different colors and I actually used a cotton ball. I didn't even use a paintbrush for this one. Or you can use old tissue paper or crepe paper, cut it up into squares, put glue all over the front of it to make it really lay down flat. This one used to be a unicorn notebook and now it has a new fabric cover that I folded over and stapled it and it looks brand new. So I challenge you to use what you have around your house and to get creative and get journaling.
Hey parents, you're doing great! With Kansas school buildings closed and homes being turned into classrooms, parents and caregivers have expanded their roles in their students' learning. This is a new experience for most of us, so let's show one another a little grace. When you and your students start to feel overwhelmed or stressed, take a break. It's really okay. Keeping students interested and engaged in learning is the key to success. Remember, you have an entire community of fellow caregivers and teachers to lean on. Reach out. Together, Kansans can.
Welcome back. I'm Mrs. Smoke with Learning Across Kansas. And now that we've explored some science and math, ad astra through the stars, we're heading to Derby Schools to visit with Mr. Brent Wolf as he shares one of his favorite science fiction short stories, All Summer in a Day by Ray Bradbury. What's science fiction, you ask? Well, it's one of the most creative genres in literature. Sci-fi stories take readers on adventures from faraway galaxies to underwater worlds and everywhere in between, introducing them to interesting characters and technologies along the way. Let's see what Mr. Wolf has been reading.
One of my favorite stories to teach, especially at the beginning of the year or in times when perseverance is needed most, is Ray Bradbury's All Summer in a Day. To first understand and appreciate this piece of text, I want to define two words. The first word is perseverance. When the going gets tough, what do the tough people do? If they persevere, they keep going. Even when if it is difficult, sometimes like the social distancing or staying at home, or maybe the significant shift of learning platforms. Even when it is difficult, these are tough times. If we persevere, we don't give up. We strive to keep going. Adversity. A synonym of adversity is misfortune. Adversity is when things aren't going your way and obstacles and struggles and hurdles are standing in your way from being successful. The main character in All Summer in a Day faces great amounts of adversity. Will she persevere? If you are an astrophile, you'll know Venus is sometimes called the evening star, and you're in luck today. we have a news report from the Evening Star. Without further ado, let's turn our attention to Mr. Matt Mons, the local Evening Star reporter, for a brief summary about All Summer in a Day.
Welcome to the Evening Star. I'm Matt Mons. Tonight's episode, we're going straight to the weather. Ashen Light is reporting live from Venus, where I think we're getting more and more rain. Ashen, you there?
Yes, thanks, Matt. For the last 7 years, rain upon rain upon rain, not one day without the sun. And if history repeats itself, and if scholars and meteorologists were right, for one day, 1 hour, the sun will appear this week. It will be later in the week, but viewers, prepare. Plan now. It will only last 1 hour. Start sending pics of what you're doing to celebrate the sun for 1 hour. I can't wait for this rain to stop soon. Ashen Light reporting live. Back to you, Matt.
Thanks, Asher. That's all for us here at the Evening Star. Tune in next week when we continue talking about the incessant weather. On behalf of the Evening Star, I'm Matt Mons. Thanks for watching. We know our viewers are out of this world.
To recap, read the story this week, All Summer in a Day. Look for instances of perseverance and adversity. Put yourself in the shoes of Margot, the main character. See if you would persevere. More opportunities and ideas will appear later in this episode, and I can't wait to hear about how much you guys like All Summer in a Day by Ray Bradbury.
What a powerful story. And what I love most about literature is how we as readers can connect the characters and the events to our own lives. Now let's visit Meriden, Kansas to hear from Counselor Maret Schrader on how we can connect this short story to today. So let's go off to Jefferson West Schools.
Now that we understand what empathy is, we can make some text-to-world and text-to-self connections with our short story, All Summer in a Day. Our first reaction to what the characters did to Margot might be that we feel really sorry for her. After all, we know that locking someone in a closet is not a kind thing to do. But is that a feeling of empathy or sympathy? If we just simply feel sorry for her, we might not be feeling with her. In order to feel with her and experience true empathy, we are going to have to look at the two groups involved, the classmates and Margot. First, let's look at the classmates. We know that locking people in closets is not safe and is not kind. So why would they do this? When I read the story, I wondered if maybe they felt scared. Here was a girl who claimed to know all about this event that only happened every 7 years. When we feel scared, sometimes we do things that we wouldn't normally do. Or maybe they were jealous. Oftentimes, when we are jealous of something that someone has or an experience that someone else gets, we don't do things that are very kind. So while it doesn't make it okay that the classmates did this to Margot, we are able to use our empathy skills to understand the situation and then react. Now let's look at Margot. Put yourself in her shoes. Has there ever been a time where you had an idea or shared something that wasn't necessarily the popular opinion? We can tell from the story that Margot is not originally from Venus. She came from Earth, where it rains more often than just once every 7 years. In fact, there are even rumors about sending her back to planet Earth because she doesn't really fit in. Because of this, Margot doesn't really speak her mind much, but on this particular day, she did, and that took a lot of courage. In your journal, I would invite you to write about someone in your life whom you would characterize as courageous. What do you admire about them? Then write the ways in which you also exhibit some of those qualities. If you want to send them a letter telling them how courageous they are, that would be awesome, because I think we could all agree that we could all use all the positive and affirming words we can right now.
Kansas school buildings may be closed for the remainder of the academic year, but school is still in session. Keeping students engaged in the learning process during this extraordinary time is critical for their ongoing success. We salute our teachers, parents, and guardians who are committed to ensuring their students finish this year strong. We're all ready for our lives to get back to normal, but until that time, Kansas students, keep learning and keep working toward your goals. Together, Kansans can.
Have you considered how you are a creator? Did you know that every moment that you doodle, write a poem, build a new structure from Legos, or take a photograph, you are creating? And we need those creativity skills to help us continue to explore and discover new technologies or processes that can make the world a better place. Now let's head back over to Derby as Mr. Wolf shares with us a little bit more about the author, Ray Bradbury. Then, Mrs. Farha from Wichita will show us how to create our own Earth-inspired cookies from home.
Before we summarize the story All Summer in a Day, let me tell you a little bit about the author. Ray Bradbury wrote mysteries, fantasies, but mostly he stuck to science fiction. It is not one of my favorite genres, but I really loved this story and was glad and proud of myself for getting out of my comfort zone and reading a genre that I'm not too fond of. Ray Bradbury died in 2012 at the age of 92. If he was still alive, he would have turned 100 years old this August. He wrote All Summer in a Day in 1952, when our knowledge of Venus was minimal, and so when the setting, the time and place of a story is mentioned, while vitally important to this story, know that in real life, Venus doesn't have the same climate that Venus does in this story. To summarize the story, I like to use an acronym called SWBIST. It stands for Somebody Wanted But So Then. It can be used to summarize any fiction text. So let's start with the S. Somebody. Who was the main character in the story? Margot. We go down to the W. What? What did she want? To see the sun, to have friends, to be accepted. The B stands for but. But what happened? Well, her classmates locked her in a closet. Her classmates thought that they were more important than she. Her classmates wanted to take something away from her. S stands for so. So what happened? So she didn't get to see the sun, or she was heartbroken by the treatment of her classmates. And T is then what? Then they let her out of the closet. And then it is our turn as readers to create a resolution that could happen. So SWBIST is somebody wanted, but so then, and can be used to complete a great summary of fiction text because it includes main characters, parts of the plot, including the resolution, and even character traits that are embedded within the summary.
So, I don't know about you, but I have been spending a ton of extra time baking and making all different kinds of recipes, and I really love it if something is easy and looks cool whenever it's done. So today's recipe is a tribute to my favorite planet, the third rock from the sun, the Earth. And all you need to make these cookies is a basic sugar cookie dough recipe. And the great thing about sugar cookie dough is usually you have most of the ingredients already in your home to make them. And if you don't, there are things that you can sub out to make a basic sugar cookie dough recipe. These were actually made with coconut oil because we were totally out of butter in our home right now. So after you have your dough, you'll split it into two parts and make one part blue and one part green. And I cut mine with a knife into smaller pieces because it makes it a little less messy. And I'm going to take a part of each and kind of make like a little caterpillar in the both of them. And then I have them in a sort of X shape, and then I just fold them into each other. It looks like it's not going to be much of anything right at the beginning, right? But as you start making it into a sphere, you can tell that it has places that really look like the continents and the oceans, right? And maybe you have a part that you think, oh, that's too much green, I'm gonna take that. You can just take it over and move it. Absolutely perfect. So I picked the part that I think looks most like it could be real continents and oceans, and I put that part up, and that's it. You end up with these cool guys. So maybe you can get even more creative and make the whole solar system out of cookie dough.
I hope you've enjoyed this learning journey with us today. Remember, new discoveries are all around you, friends, from the earth to the skies. Look for those opportunities to capture your thoughts and observations. Use those thoughts as inspiration to create a new piece of art, a new recipe, or a new story. You are the authors, my friends. After all, it was today's featured author, Ray Bradbury, who said, "Stuff your eyes with wonder." So that's our show for now. We'll be back with more teachers and more lessons very soon. I'm your host, Mrs. Smoke, and you've been watching Learning Across Kansas, a partnership between the Kansas State Department of Education and our Kansas Public Broadcasters.